Hello, thank you all for joining. I am excited to be hosting another wonderful session in the Launchmetrics Performance Summit. If you have not joined one of our sessions yet today, I'm Alison Branger. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Launchmetrics. And the theme of the session today is social selling, the path of least resistance. Together with our lovely guests, we'll dive into the digitization of the industry, the diversification of content, and all things influencer marketing with a special focus on social selling. I'm really excited to have Risa Lake here, who has been a dear friend of Launchmetrics and recently joined the team at Like to Know It. Risa, do you mind just saying hello and giving a quick kind of introduction to yourself, and then we can introduce Karen?
Yes, of course. Thank you. It's so nice to be here, Allison. I always love getting to share the stage with you. And Karen, so nice to meet you. I'm excited not to only join as my first panel of the year, but also my first time really on behalf of LTK, which a lot of you may know as being named Reward Style or Like to Know It. LTK is the creator commerce platform and shopping app where creators have a dedicated digital storefront. So this is a perfect topic. I'm really excited. My new role at LTK is going to be really focused on expanding the creators on the platform and bringing economic opportunities to all of them. I've worked very closely with Amber and the LTK team over the past year in my previous life, and have just seen the ability and power for LTK to power creators commerce. So excited to talk all things creator commerce, and thanks again for having me.
Of course. And then I'm so excited that we'll be sharing the stage with a creator who needs no introduction and an entrepreneur, Karen Wazen, who is the founder of Karen Wazen Eyewear, and of course, social influencer that I am sure you guys all follow, posting amazing content throughout the day, and is joining us today to share a little bit of insight into this changing, evolving, and critical industry. So Karen, thank you so much for joining us. Where are you joining from today, actually?
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm super proud and happy to be sharing the stage with you, and I feel this is going to be a really interesting talk. I'm actually originally from Lebanon, but I'm based in Dubai. I live in Dubai, and this is where I'm chatting with you from. But it's actually not. So it's actually the evening here. It's it's 8:20 p.m. And it's not sunny, as you would know, Dubai. It's actually been rainy the past few days.
No, yeah, rainy and cold here in London. So I guess we really are like a very international panel, kind of dialing in from everywhere.
Yeah,
I love it.
This is the beauty. One of the great things about this whole new way of doing things. I think.
Yeah, we have snow on the ground here in Connecticut, so I'm a little bit jealous of both of you.
I don't know. I think I'd prefer snow over rain. It's just like cold and rainy. But then again, like I don't miss shoveling snow or de-icing my car so yeah, potato. So let's jump in. Risa, as someone who's been immersed in the industry for years now, working with influencers and creators, what changes have you seen over the last few years in how brands are working with influencers to connect, to reach their audiences?
I'm going to take it back 10 years to when I first started in the industry on the talent management side of the business. And I remember going in and talking to brands about how they should work with bloggers at the time. And I was basically laughed out of their offices and told that they would never invest money in a blogger. And at the time, we really had to pivot and lean into what the creator and the influencer's talents were at the time. So you may not pay a blogger 10 years ago, but you'd pay a photographer and a stylist, which I'm starting to see really come full circle with the way creators are really creating, content for brands. As we look at the way brands work with creators, it's in a much more interesting way, and it goes beyond the traditional partnership model. It's everything from creators being tapped to actually produce content, and then brands licensing it for home pages, to product development, to full funnel campaigns, and sometimes all of the above. I think it's really important to look at brands and creators as really building substantial businesses. And I'm going to use Skinny Confidential as an example. She is a creator who has built a tremendous community across multiple platforms. And the way that she, communicates with them is very different depending on what the platform and what that platform is meant for. So on Instagram, you'll see her talking about her family and her baby Zaza, and talking about products that she loves. On her podcast, you'll see her doing founder founder interviews and highlighting brands and doing more paid advertising and kind of a traditional model of ad spots. And then you see that she launches a book that's tying together all of her expertise that she has across different verticals, and then looping in different creators, and then promoting them on the podcast. So really creating a multifaceted business and brand, really touching her audience on every single different platform.
It certainly has sounded like the industry has evolved. I actually do remember meeting with DBA when I was at Net-a-Porter, and it was all about bloggers. And there was just like one channel to engage with them. And now if you are a creator, you literally have this full-time job, whereas I have the same full-time job. I work in marketing, except I have a team of 20 people that are doing all of those things that you created, or you mentioned, Risa. But Karen, I mean, you are an entrepreneur of your own company, and at the same time, you're a creator. So you're kind of managing both hats, lots of responsibilities, probably team members from some, but then solo for others. You know, how do you see your role has evolved and what you're contributing, how you're working with brands? I'd love to hear more on that.
I can definitely say the journey has really shifted from when I started to today. And I'm very grateful to see that change, because I think it's thanks to platforms, like yours, and to companies like as well, DBA and Like to Know It, that are really empowering and understanding how effective influencer marketing is. Because I think, when I first started, all I would hear is, this is a bubble, and this bubble is going to explode and is just not something that is going to last. But here we are, like, some people have been in this industry 10 years later and making, big moves, and they're not going anywhere. If anything, they're only going to get, I think, bigger, and are utilizing the platforms in the right way to get their messages across, to build brands, and to collaborate with brands. What I can definitely say from my personal perspective is, brands, I feel, are opening up a lot more to kind of co-creating with the influencer, which I think this is super valuable and important. Whereas in the beginning, it was almost like, this is the brief, this is what we'd expect, and this is what we would like you to do. I think with time, brands are understanding that every influencer, every creator has an identity and has a way of doing things, and they know how to connect best with their audience. So they would know how to deliver that message best with their audience in the most authentic way that would apply to them. And I think this is kind of where I truly believe a successful collaboration is. And even in terms of, for example, me having my brand, I see this. So when I work with influencers, for example, I would never tell them what I would want them to post. I would love them to feel the product and see how they would naturally integrate this into their lives and post it that way, because this is when it comes out as the best version, the truest version. And this is when their audience will truly relate to that content. So I also think in a way things are changing as well, but that might be a personal experience for me. I think in the beginning, I was a lot more focused on the aesthetic of my page, whereas today, I think it's a lot more about who I am as a person. What am I? Who do I represent? How do I connect with my audience, rather than what color grade am I using or what visco filter I'm using,
I love the top-down, bottom-up approach concept. I mean, Risa and I spoke on a panel together, I think it was like 2 years ago, and it was basically presenting some data that Launchmetrics had run. Every year we do a state of influencer marketing report, and that was one of the things we started to see, that brands finally understood that, why are you paying someone all of this money, or maybe not all this money, but giving them all this product for their expertise, but then saying to them, okay, I'm going to give you this money to post this, but I want it to be like in this room with this lighting, with this filter, with the bag like this, with this caption. And you're like, why are you hiring me then? Just pay a model and have her shoot it, and voila, you have your image. So it's great to see that the foreshadowing we had really has started to come to fruition, because, and another thing that we've always said is that influencers or creators are really the middlemen between the brands and the consumer. You are successful based on, like, if your fans really engage with your content or not. So every day you're kind of being scrutinized. Maybe it's really harsh to say it like that, but like, but it's true, right? Like, your success is based on, if you know your audience, if you keep feeding your audience with what is authentic to you, but is authentic to them. So if a brand's asking you to publish on their behalf, then they should respect that you know your audience. So it's nice to see that shift is starting to happen more and more with brands. And I think that's going to be a big step in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
they're more willing to take risks, and I especially looking at emerging platforms, it's not a one size fits all. You can't produce one piece of content and think it's going to perform across every different channel. And one thing Karen and I were talking about a little bit earlier was just even the ability to tap into the audience, to almost use them as a live focus group. You know what products are going to resonate with them. You're going to know what price points, and that can also help determine what types of products you're producing, what type of brand you develop, and then also what type of brand partnerships you do want to take on.
Agreed. And what else do you think has changed specifically because of the pandemic? Maybe Risa, that's a good starting point for you. Just how have you seen this industry evolve in the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, it has to say it's blown up is an understatement, but it has been extremely validating for all of us who work in this industry, just to see the opportunities and to see the brands and the businesses that have been built during the pandemic. And I think if you take one step back and you think about the early days of the pandemic when the world shut down, and LTK worked really closely with a couple of massive national brands that their ad agencies were shut down. They were unable to get into a studio to actually shoot any content that they needed to push out to their consumers. So that's homepage content, that is shopping page content. And they were able to get product to creators who actually shot and were able to show how they were using that shoe brand in their life. And so two sides of the coin there. You get the content that you were not going to be able to get, but then you also have creators who are the face of the content and them personally endorsing a product. So I think there were a lot of examples where brands had to be really nimble and creative, and they were able to tap creators to be essentially mini ad agencies for them at a fraction of the budget and a fraction of the time. And I think that as we all see the news every day, we see that more investments are being made in this space. And at the end of last year, it was announced that LTK had raised $300 million from SoftBank, which again is tremendously, it's so validating, not only for our industry, but for the creator economy. And to know that everything that we do as a business is really to support and to help make creators as economically successful as possible, and to look at the way consumers have been purchasing through creators, and whether that is through platforms like LTK that is dedicated to building out tools for creators to be successful. In the last 12 months alone, over $3 million of products were purchased from LTK. So those are consumers at home going into the app, purchasing from their favorite creators. There's a huge power that we're also able to see from this data and this analytics that we didn't have a few years ago.
I mean, I think, as you said before, creators are really the best focus group, right? Like, you're getting such raw, interesting information, and that data that you're talking about too, that you guys are seeing on the other side, is really just kind of a consolidated version of, it's actually like a mathematical version of what's inside these creators' heads. On that point, Karen, maybe it'd be really interesting for you, someone that's having these daily conversations with your audience, someone that has this firsthand experience. Could you talk the audience through a little bit, like, how you feel you connect with your audience? Like, what is it you do to connect with them? What do they look for in that relationship they have with you, as well as the type of content and how you develop that content strategy?
Sure. So as I said, for me, the personal relationship is super important, because I would love to build a relationship of trust. And I think this is only when you really truly are open or vulnerable, and you're not like a two-dimensional. And I think this is what really has made me grown, I would say, rather quickly, an audience rather quickly. And I have a quite engaged audience, because not only do they empower me, but I empower them in a way where, like, I give them actual power to take decisions sometimes for me, as something as small as, guys, should I wear this or that? And I end up making them truly choose. and I would wear what they would decide. So something as small as this, or I want to change my hair color. Do you guys think I should go darker or lighter? And I would make them truly make these decisions, because we've built enough of a relationship where they feel that, okay, Karen listens to us from the small things to the big things. And I also ask them very often, like, what would you guys want to hear more of? Because at the end of the day, I'm doing this to an audience that, you know, cares about me, and an audience that I want to give out something that they can actually benefit from. And sometimes it's like, you know, when we're talking about like content, let's say I am, for example, just talking about my glasses, but in the back there is this, I would notice several questions about something happening in the back, you know? So this is where you kind of feel like, okay, even when you are actually asking a certain question to someone, the readers, the audience will see what they want to see, and they will take what they want to take from what you're saying. But definitely for me, I think the way also Instagram kind of has, I mean, I'm mainly active on Instagram, so it's definitely the platform I use the most. I am active on others, and like Risa was saying, I think utilizing different platforms to build different audiences and different connections with audiences. So on TikTok, for example, I have an audience, but I don't think they're probably as connected to me as they are on Instagram, because on Instagram they get to see a lot more of who I am and my daily life. But I think for the tools that we have through social media right now are crazy, whether it's polls, whether it's questions, quizzes, lives, short format, long format. It's just really utilizing everything to connect in every way possible, whether it's a quick viral video to an IGTV where you're actually opening up and talking you know, something deep about yourself that they will connect to. But for me, connection, trust, authenticity, these are all the things that will really keep your audience there, keep your community there, and to grow it.
I love that. I love that. You just know that the audience is they want to be a part of everything that touches your life. Like the example that you gave about having something in the background. I was watching this woman, Bridget Helene's stories, and she was in her kitchen, and people, I guess, just kept asking about the knife block that she had in the back of the kitchen. She's like, you guys, we're not talking about knives. Here's my LTK site. You can go and see all of my kitchen must-haves. We're not talking about knives. We're talking about something more serious. But there was like a flood of just like the audience wanting to know where she got her knife. So I'm sure that you the same thing.
Sometimes I'd be like opening up about something really serious, and then all the question is like, what's your lipstick? I'm like, do you not hear what I'm saying? Like, why is it just about what you see? So yeah.
Here's the link. I need the link, please.
Yeah, I need the link to the knives. Actually, my husband wants new knives for our new house. So
I'll drop you her LTK site.
Perfect. I think it'd be interesting to hear, Risa, actually from the brand side. Like, what do you guys see today that brands are looking for when they're selecting creators and influencers to work with?
Yeah, you know, I think it definitely has evolved and changed over the years, and through the analytics and the data, we're able to make more precise recommendations on creators that brands should work with. But I see that brands are looking to work with creators of all different sizes. It's not just, you know, the macro super celebrity. It definitely touches all different categories of creator. But I think also looking at really why it is that you want to work with a creator, and creator guided shopping is definitely an area where brands can increase revenue and tap creators to actually drive those sales. You know, as we look at the way that creators and kind of what Karen was just saying, you know, you've built an audience where they feel like you're their BFF. They feel like you're their older sister, and they want to go shopping with you. So for brands to be able to be a part of that conversation, that intimate relationship and recommendation is not only just about driving clicks and likes, it's really about driving, you know, community and relationship. And, you know, I'll give you an example. So when we're liking and we're clicking and we're commenting, that's a two-way conversation with the creator. But say you swipe up, or say you go to Karen's LTK site and you buy something. When that arrives on your doorstep, you feel a connection to her. And then when you put it on, you feel even more connected. There's this woman that I follow, Christine Andrew, and she had posted this Levi's jacket, and I ordered it for my son. And when it came, he said, well, this wasn't on my wish list. Where did you find this? How did you know I would want this? And I said, well, I saw somebody post about it. I thought you would like it. And then he comes down, and every time I see him, I feel this positive reaction because it was a recommendation from another creator. And then I took his photo, I sent it to her, and it creates more of a deeper relationship than just a transaction. And, you know, I think as the internet is completely flooded with so many different options, you know, having creators be able to cut through that clutter is extremely valuable for brands. And also being able to use, you know, the LTK is actually a shopping destination. You're going to where people are shopping. So how many times are you watching a creator and you screenshot and think, oh, I'll go buy it later, or I'll go back and find that product later. You're trying to figure out, wait, which creator was that I screenshotted, trying to remember. Maybe you find it or you don't. I follow Brooklyn Blonde, who I love, and now I know that she adds all of her products, and I can go in and I can like them, and later on I can go back and be like, it was a skinny jean that I liked, and I can search a skinny jean versus trying to go through a bunch of different screenshots. So I think for brands to identify opportunities to work with creators and tap into their ability to really drive commerce, we'll continue to see success.
I want to dive into that because I think obviously that's the topic of the session and it's really interesting. I want to take an audience question too. One thing, you know, we spoke a lot about authenticity before we dive into social selling. You know, everyone is talking about metaverse, virtual influencers. Like, let's get to the metaverse later if we have time. But maybe just starting with the concept of virtual influencers. Like, what do you guys think about it? Do you think, you know, brands can leverage them authentically? Are they authentic? I don't know. Anyone's thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, I really think there's a place for everyone. And I do think that there is a place for virtual influencers. Maybe it's not the kind of audience, the kind of account that I would necessarily follow, because I personally need to follow real people. But I do see that it could work for some. If it has a certain kind of, I think it has to come with a message. It has to come with more than just kind of a face. It has to have a story, and if the story is strong enough, then I think it could work. We have, for example, in back in Lebanon, there's this account, and no one knows what the person looks like, but it's like it's just like a kind of an illustration. And this illustration is quite funny. We don't even know if it's in fact a male or a female, but it's of a female, the illustration. And she keeps like changing her looks, changing her hair, changing her, she's wearing gowns, illustrated gowns. And she's very, very funny as well. So I think that could work. And once they asked her, like, who's your favorite influencer? And she had mentioned me, and I saw a crazy amount of followers jump to me. So I felt, wow, this is crazy that this virtual influencer actually has a real audience who's very engaged with that person. So it truly depends on the connection that they build, the story that they build, and the character that they build.
Yeah, I think you made a good point that there is a place for everything, essentially, especially in this world of creators and influencers. And you follow people for different reasons. Like you said, she's really funny. So maybe you follow her because she's entertaining. There's tons of meme accounts, that we follow just for a quick laugh, or to DM someone. I think that really the power in creator, though, is creating that trust, like you said, Karen. And I'm not sure how much trust avatars can build, because they're not essentially real people putting hair products on their hair and talking if it really does help them defrizz. There is that lack of kind of a personal endorsement. So I believe there's a place, but when it comes to actually, having creators support, brands, I think that using real people is what we crave.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. By the way, what's nice, it made me think what you're saying of something that when the audience is building trust with, when the community is building trust with an influencer or creator, you start to think. I mean, I also feel that way with creators that I follow. It becomes a full thing. Like, it's kind of like, okay, what would Karen do, or what would Karen wear if Karen was going there? So it's kind of like entering that world. The more you let them in, the more they feel that they're a part of it, the more they feel, that they know you well. So many times I get, let's say, DMs or messages like, I saw this, thought of you, thought you would love it, because they know me, they know what I would like. They know what they understand me. You know, they've been following my journey. They know my taste and they trust it. So I think when I say building trust, it's on both. Like, once you trust a person, you can trust a person on many levels, whether it's on a personal level, whether it's on a just on a kind of fashion advice level. So it on testing a product. And this is why for me, authenticity, trust, like loyalty, these are the most, I would say, important elements that would keep a creator kind of alive.
Yeah, I mean, when
I
you
don't
think
know
about
if
it, when we're purchasing products, we're more likely to either go to a creator, an influencer, ask a friend, than we're going to go to a brand's actual website. I mean, even when you're searching and you're looking at brands now, you're most likely not going to their website. You're going to go to their Instagram, or you're going to, if you're thinking about travel, you're going to go to their TripAdvisor. If you're thinking about purchasing something from Amazon, you're going to go read reviews. And creators are cutting through that clutter for you, and they are helping you make really informed purchases in products, but then also, deciding on maybe where you're going on a trip. Earlier last year, I was getting ready to go on my first, it was not post-pandemic because we're obviously still in it, but my first trip. And I was nervous about traveling out of the country. And I ended up following this Wanderlust influencer who was at the same property that I was looking at going. And I was able to see not only that, they were taking all the precautions that the property promised via email. I was able to see what her experience was, that she was still able to go out, dine, enter, enjoy her time there. And I trusted her experience much more than I did the email that they sent me with all of their precautions.
Yeah.
I know we could go on and on and on for that. I want to just make sure we hit on this social selling, because obviously that's where we have so many questions still, because it's kind of like you said, if I'm looking for something and I can see Karen's post about it and I love it, I just want to buy it. I don't want to go search, find it somewhere else. Maybe Karen, you could start as a creator and an entrepreneur, how you think you will be leveraging social selling more in the coming year and how that's evolved for you.
I can definitely tell you that, for example, even on my brand side, I would say 90% of our marketing, even maybe more, is influencer marketing, because I believe in it. I believe in the power of influencer marketing, and we have not actually done paid marketing anywhere else. And it really works, and you can directly see the clicks, the links, it works. And like I said, I think just the most important thing is to have an authentic way of delivering the message or the product, integrating the product in your lifestyle the way you naturally would, not necessarily to fit how the brand would want that to be on the scene. And this is the way I would see moving forward. This is definitely what I would focus on even more. I think when it comes to me, I think it's kind of what I want to work better on is kind of the planning. So making sure that, for example, before a drop, I have enough visibility, so it builds that excitement up before a launch. So I think the kind of these things, I think some people do it super well, but I'm kind of learning there as well, because I think just having a launch and not it being backed up by people already kind of seeing it on other people, understanding it before it actually drops, I think it should work the other way around. They should see it, want it, and then be able to buy it. This is the way I would see. But yeah, definitely for me, influencer marketing it's just the way it's what I trust, and it's also what I do. So I know it works. And this is what I would definitely focus on more for my brand.
And Risa, maybe you can dive into, how you're seeing brands take advantage of social selling and what is the appeal? I mean, I know what the appeal is. I think money is a great appeal, but maybe you could dive a little bit more into that as well.
Yeah, I think it's definitely three-sided. As consumers, we want to make purchases from brands. Brands want to sell product, and creators are creating content that is essentially, a win-win for both sides. They're providing recommendations for consumers to make purchases, and then they're promoting their favorite brands and being able to actually see in live time what they're able to do in terms of sales for those brands. So, looking at just in terms of an analytic, a creator can look and see what price points their audience is comfortable shopping at. What categories are they wanting to make purchases, and be able to actually track that information and then bring it back to potential brand partners, as well as like Karen and I were talking, being able to actually inform what type of products they will be developing in the future. And I just see that as our world becomes more digital, we're more likely to go shopping online. We are more comfortable to go shopping online, especially if we do have a recommendation from a creator. And I think it's really important for brands to have trust in creators and be able to take a little bit of risk. I think kind of going back to what Karen was saying earlier, and the hopes of not making content so prescriptive, really lean into creators and the content that they are creating and make sure that it's not living in a silo. We think back to 10 years ago when I'm being laughed out of the PR office. Now I'm sitting in office, and not only do I have the influencer marketing teams, but I have the e-com teams, I have the advertising teams, I have, the teams that are planning in-store events, and all of them are figuring out how to use creator, influencer, insert whatever name that you are using in that category, to really drive brand awareness and ultimately drive sales. And then really, how are you using creators to track and drive those sales? Through LTK, the platform is designed to be a shopping platform. It is tech enabled for creators to create their own shops where they can talk about the knives that are in their kitchen in one moment, and then the next moment link out to their favorite parenting products or fashion. And it creates really a one-stop shop for creators to be enabled to create content and drive awareness and drive conversion for brands.
And you've mentioned all this amazing data you have. Could you share maybe with the audience, people that are thinking about doing shoppable programs, some data or a case study of something that worked really well that you guys have seen when it came to social selling?
I don't have any specific case studies, but I think we can just talk broad strokes about even just the holiday season and, the success that we saw. We did a survey of over 2,000 people, and over the holidays, you're searching for gift guides. You want to know what to get to your mom, your friend, the babysitter. We saw over 101% spike compared to the previous year in people searching for gift guides. So they are hungry and looking for creator curated products. And also seeing now, like we talk all day about fashion and beauty, but then you use my example of travel, and creators are driving consideration for products outside of just fashion and beauty. It's travel, but then we're also seeing a huge spike in electronics and entertainment. Even over the last 4 months, 120% increase and growth in creators talking about different types of products, but then also actually the consumers searching for those products through creators. So I think we are going to see a huge increase in creators talking and promoting products across all different categories, talking about experiences, and also being able to then track it through LTK. We're able to see what those purchases are and being able to tell a really cohesive story of a creator and how they're able to sell for a brand.
Great. Well, I think we've already proved the point that creators are so valuable to the industry. I want to jump into some audience questions because we're just down to the last few minutes, and then maybe we'll see if we can come back to the questions I've prepared. But one question here is, how do you measure the value of an influencer to a brand? Maybe I'll take that, but then this is really interesting. Then how do you replicate success in an industry that has so many consistently changing factors? I mean, obviously, you both know at Launchmetrics, we use media impact value to assign a monetary amount to every post, interaction, article. So when Karen's working with a brand, we're not just quantifying for that brand how much value she's generating from the post that she puts, but all the times that other people are talking about Karen, when they write about her in the press, when they take her picture. And it really helps brands understand. But of course, there's tons of factors. I mean, today we're talking about social selling. So then, of course, there's things like, okay, Karen drove a ton of brand awareness for my brand. And then not only did she do that, she helped also help sell like 30 handbags. So it's nice to be able to see all of these factors. But I guess that it's true that industry is always changing. How can brands replicate success when they have had, is it the influencer? Is it the campaign? Is it the content? What do you guys think is that recipe for success?
I think being creative and taking risks is important. So, for example, there came a time where brands were doing like at 6 p.m. All the influencers are going to post the same bag, and then you just literally go through the feed, and it's like the same bag being posted throughout your whole feed. So this we know is effective, and it's worked for brands for sure in terms of like building awareness. But when this is something that's already been done, I would always say like to try out other ways. Like I think like they tried the chain thing at some point, like check out the post of my friend, check out the post of my friend. That was also quite, I think, effective. I was part of that too, and it just creates curiosity to want to kind of go through the full chain. I think taking risks and understanding that there's no right or wrong way to do things. We need to all try. We need to try. We need to put ourselves out there, whether it's from the brand side or from the influencer side, to kind of recreate themselves, to be quick and to adapt with the times. I think this is also something that's super important. Like, for example, when no one was expecting that we were going to be hit by a pandemic and everyone was all of a sudden home, the companies that were able to really like shine, and the creators that were able to shine, are the ones that were able to quickly adapt and be like, okay, this is the situation right now, how can we adapt to this certain way of doing things. And I think even in general with influencers, you kind of feel that some people have been doing the exact same thing from when they started. And that doesn't work. You need to recreate, you need to adapt to the times, you need to keep kind of just not really, it's not about just elevating, it's about giving something new, because people are, they get bored in general, and they want to kind of feel like, oh, this is interesting, this is new, let's check this out. So yeah, I would say just to take kind of risks and to recreate, and not to be afraid to kind of get out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing there too. I mean, I think that two common themes that we've talked about is for brands and creators to be creative, take risks, and be able to take risks quickly. And if you look at this new generation of talent and super fan and community that has built, 2 years ago, Charlie D'Amelio lived 2 towns over from me in Connecticut. She now has moved to LA, has multiple successful businesses and brands. She just renewed a Hulu television show, and she's making over $17 million a year. So the brands that took a risk with her in the early days are ones that built a relationship. And I think as we see, every 2 years, a new platform pops up. And, I'm sure that 2 years from now, I hope, Allison, we're sitting hopefully in real life, talking about the next platform that pops up. But I think it's important for creators to really be able to own their own businesses and be responsible for their own economic success in the future.
I'm really sorry, but in 2 years, I'd like to be with Charlie, like making 17 million in LA. And maybe retiring for 2 years or something.
Okay, we'll be on vacation together then.
Let's do that. Okay, so we just have time for one more question. I'm sorry we haven't gotten to everyone's questions in the audience. Maybe you guys could just talk about thoughts for the future, whether it's related to influencer marketing, social selling, the metaverse. Would love to hear kind of your takeaways for the audience.
I'm scared of the metaverse. I don't really get it yet. Like, I'm trying to kind of look more into it. Like, same with like NFTs and all these things. I don't personally know much about it. I definitely have to educate myself more. But I think the one thing that I find important is not to, the world is changing very quickly. And like you said, like there's opportunities all like that can arise when you least expect it. I remember when TikTok first started, so many people were kind of like, what is that? That's gonna die out. What is TikTok? Look at where it is today. So I think not underestimating the power of platforms and jumping at it, just do it and take risks, and you never know where this can take you. And this is what I mean, I've been doing. I have, like I said, like I'm active on several platforms. TikTok, I handle it a different way. Instagram's a different way. Twitter's different. Facebook, they're all kind of different. And I think understanding the platform and utilizing the platforms that we have, they're around us. There, you can create from your own home. You don't need to produce content. You can just create with whatever you have around you. And sometimes it's the simplest way. People think that it takes a lot more than what it takes. It's being, truthful, speaking directly to the consumer. This is what works. This is what people want to see. And you can see, for example, on TikTok, just someone being like, oh my God, I just tried out this lipstick. I can't believe how amazing this is. You see this video got like millions of views. The brand sells that from this lipstick, when they least expect it. But using what you have around you to create a successful model is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, take risks and don't be scared to be the first one doing something. I feel like there's definitely a lot of disruptive brands that are willing to do that. And if I think back to when I started my career in PR and Facebook didn't exist, and then finally it was, a college social networking platform locked in our computers at work, and we realized that there was a huge power in digital and social media. And I remember going in and talking to my clients about getting on Facebook. And at the time, I guess I was also laughed out of the rooms and said, we would never be on Facebook. What luxury brand is on Facebook? What consumer brand is on Facebook? No one's on Facebook. And the ones that actually took the risk and were the first to do campaigns on Facebook, I think that we will see the same thing translate to the metaverse.
But I remember when I started to do content on TikTok, for example, I felt that, there weren't enough brands on it. And I felt that there should be. So I would speak to all the like luxury brands that I work with. And I said, guys, listen, you guys have to get on it now, because later it's going to be too late. Just get it now while, you still have that opportunity. And they're like, I don't know. I don't necessarily know if this is the right platform. And then years later, they're on it. And I'm like, you could have been the first, and you could have, built an audience from the beginning and been creative, because there you can be creative and not really worry that much about, so much about the image and guidelines. You can be yourself in a more kind of fun way. But they took, I think some brands take more time because they're just stuck to a certain way of doing things. It's, change is not always the easiest thing, but it's important.
Agreed. So well, thank you both for an amazing session. Thank you to everyone that tuned in to listen. Karen, I'm going to have the team send you the Vogue Business session from earlier, all about NFTs. So you can
okay.
start your learning. But thank you guys. If you missed any of the sessions earlier today, they will be on demand after the summit is over. We have a full day continuing tomorrow. So looking forward to connecting with you guys then. And thank you both so much for joining, and hope to see you in 3D soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day. Have a good night, Karen.
Thank you. You too. Have a good